The views and opinions expressed on the following program do not necessarily reflect that of radio station WVLT, Clear Communications Incorporated, its staff and management, or our sponsors. WVLT, Clear Communications Incorporated, retains the right to record all phone calls received during this program for future promotions.
Good evening. It's Monday. It's always a Monday when I'm on. So Monday. And my name is Doug Albrecht. I'm a Cumberland County Commissioner, and I'm sitting with
Steve Soloff.
Steve Soloff always has a unique perspective, as he's been tried for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years. He has his idea that people should know, be informed about the local political scene, what people stand on. I don't want to say everything.
Yeah, sure. So the name of my little project is InformTheVoteNJ.com, and it really just got born out of the idea that a couple years ago I opened up my sample ballot and just realized I knew little to nothing about the candidates. So I did what probably a lot of people would do, just start Googling around, and it just took quite a lot of time to piece everything together. So the idea was to create an information hub so that as I collected all the things, I could put them all in one place and just share it with the rest of the public so they could review it.
And I'll say this, Steve has attended many events. I mean, I like going to them. As for the position I'm in, it's kind of required. You got to go to an event, and you get to meet a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Steve goes to the events to meet a lot of people, but for the reason of gathering information to share with other people. Is there a website or whatever they can go to?
Yeah,
say that?
InformTheVoteNJ.com. Again, it's inform as in the word information, InformTheVoteNJ as in New Jersey.com.
So he's been trying, and actually, if people want to contribute stuff, he'll happily he opens his door and says, "Yeah, tell me." And you take, when you gather the information together, do you just gather as it is, right? You filter it at all, or do you?
Well, it's kind of developed over time, and I want to try and be as honest and transparent about that, because I know sometimes in the political spectrum things can get a little tense or shady, or things get spun or whatever. So the initial idea was to just find the information and put it as is on the hub. Although sometimes I do notice things, and the main thing where my own opinion starts to come out is whether or not people are
being upfront with you.
Yeah, being actually transparent and accessible, and if I catch anything that's just like blatantly sort of like that's not passing the sniff test kind of stuff. So, if somebody just refuses to send over information or talk to me, it kind of, I feel that's part of the story, right? It's somebody from the public wants to know a little bit more about your campaign or whatever, and you're telling me whether you look at me
how
like
important it is because you're not sharing the information.
Right. Okay. So it's not necessarily to pick on anybody specifically or be partisan or anything like that. It's more like, well, I think a lot of people in this community realize that we could use a little bit more better access to information, and let's solve that problem.
If it's even keeled, it absolutely should be out there. People should know what we stand on. I mean, there's a rule out there that you have people that represent 80% of the time you agree with that person, 20% you don't, but still 80% of the time you agree. You should know what if you're in that view and it's straightforward. You should be supporting that person. If there's someone that's 20% of the time you have the same views, but it's knowing that here are the views, here's what they actually believe in, and that's what you want to make.
And then
sure.
you can make that calculation yourself.
Yeah.
Is it actually 80% or is it closer to 32%?
Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true, because because people are behind someone. I'm like, well, do you know where that person stands? And they go, do you know they're against that? I've said that to people. Do you know they don't believe that? And they go, get out of here. I said, yeah, that's not what. And they go, and then you can see the bells go off in their head. Like,
right.
Well, okay, all right. Well, but then if they change, I tell them, well, I've actually taken a different stance, which you just have to remember. They took a different stance just recently. That's something you got to remember about that. You know that, hey, is this something in their bones? They're going to always support it this way, or is it something maybe they made up this for election time? You got to know that. So. And information's power. That's what you're trying to bring to people. You want to make sure. So.
I mean, I can't even tell you some of the conversations I've had with people over the past couple years while trying to do this, where I'll say, do you know who so-and-so is? And they'll give me, like, either the most surface level sort of thing. And I'm like, I think you might have just not done your homework. Like, you need to.
But see, that's good though. Isn't that what you're trying to do? Is
right.
So that they know on a deeper level what this person believes in.
And also present it in a way that is a little bit of a reasonable ask. Like, not everybody's going to go to all the commissioner meetings. Right. They're not going to go all the breakfast meetings, all that kind of stuff. So something that, by the time you get to October 15th and you're like, all right, let me look this over. They have a place to review the information without it turning into like a part-time job or something like that.
And that was what got you really going. So, wait, I have to really work at this, and you should really be able to have the information. Because you've asked me, say, Doug, where do I get this, or you get this over, or you said, I want to make sure I say the right words. You said, where can I get this stuff? Where can I find out? Mm-hmm. Well, you're asking questions, but I don't know. There's no. Well, they should be. The parties should be putting it out. So, well, it's really not. Parties are running elections. That they put out information that helps them. It's not really. They're not going to give out every detail that you would like. So, so you really serve a purpose. That all right, I'll listen to what they say, but I'll make sure that it's put in a way that if I was asking the questions, that you would get an answer. Well, where do they stand? What is their belief? What is this person's belief? Not the party. What is this person's belief? You can ask me questions. I'm like, well, actually, you've always asked questions that I'm like, I know. This is what I've always stood for. So I feel I'm not offended that you asked. I'm like, I'm going to tell you here's what I've always believed. Yeah. And if there's something that I don't, then there's a reason maybe I don't feel that way, or I can't answer, or don't know. I don't know myself. So I've run into a lot of stuff, but sometimes I'm like, sometimes I've asked people, what are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. So then they inform me, like, oh, now I get that. Okay.
This is how life works,
This is how life works.
We ask each other questions, and it's not always an interrogation. It's just, I just want to know what's going on.
Well, I'll just say we knock on a lot of. I like knocking on doors because I have some really good conversations with people, and sometimes, wow. Really, and I take everything with a grain of salt because I don't know until I know the person. There's some people I've given the benefit of the doubt. When they talk, I listen because they don't steer me wrong. They've told me the truth, like what the truth is. I see it, or what they say, and it pans out. So to me, when they talk, okay.
And I think there's a little bit more of that natural process too, because like you said earlier, your team's running a campaign, you're doing it the way that you see fit or whatever, and I just might ask some questions you just didn't thought of, or maybe it just didn't make it to the campaign site. Like, it's there, it just, or the information exists, it just didn't make it to the top surface level or whatever.
Your ears to the ground and you're talking to someone and they bring it up. Well, they just hasn't been brought up to us. So when you're saying something, really, I didn't know that, I didn't hear that. Yeah, because that's how you learn or react or look back like, well, why did we tackle that, or why wasn't that said? And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, let's look into that. And all of a sudden you find out like, that, hey, that's important. And that's why, again, back to that, I learn a lot because people actually, I'll even go further. When I go to township committee meetings, I learn a lot. People say, why do you go to them? Because you can't get closer to the ground than that. Talking to people because they're coming, when they go to the committee, they got either a complaint or they want to say something about what's going on. You learn a lot by listening. I mean, I'm like, wow, or where can you help them? And I'm talking about the committee members that, like, they're stuck. And they said, wait a minute, we can help you that. They didn't know who to ask. Now we're kind of closer together that they can pick up the phone. But at the beginning, they'll never do it. Yeah, we can do that.
Sure.
I'll give you an example. The state required our area, a rural area, to clean every intake, the water outlet, the sewer, the outlets on the road where the water drains.
Sure.
Every one of them has to be documented and cleaned. And I don't know, there's a certain period of time. And it says, it's simple enough. Well, when you have 500, over 500, because Violet has 500 miles of road, or I hope I'm saying it right, might be more, but the county as a whole, they were stuck because a lot of them don't have any staff, and they have no equipment to do it. And I remember going to the CDC, which is the western side's economic development, all the mayors of the western side of the county, and they go, "Can you help us with this? I mean, can the county do this?" I mean, I said, "I don't know. I don't know if we can." And come to find out, this is the things you find out. Yeah, we're going to clean our own outlets. They had no staff. They had no people to do it, or one person. They had to do all their roads. I said, and we're like, I remember saying, I called up and I said, "Yeah, we can do that, Doug. We're going down the road, and they're off to the left. We turn and we just do it, scrape one road, and we have the equipment to do it." And they go, and plus, there's somebody in the counties that people are thinking that actually satellite, what's it called? The on a map,
the GPS kind of stuff.
GPS, but they mark where you're at, so you can actually put a report together. It's into the state, so it's done automatically.
Super specific plotting.
We did this, and you can send the report, so they don't have to hire they didn't have to hire a firm to document it because they have no people, and we were doing that. And so we came up with a shared service agreement.
Nice.
The only thing we say is that when we're on your road, which is documented on your road, you got to pay for the driver then. When we're not on your road, it's our thing. But so we're getting your thing done. At the same time, you're contributing because you're going to pay anyway, but a lot less because it's just our driver on that road.
Right.
And then once it's clean, it's the report's put together and you can send it off. And it was like, wow.
You know what that's kind of reminding me of is like you've gone from like a basic communication thing to this is how we actually implement it as a new idea using technology that was kind of already there and is bing, bang, boom, boom.
Yeah, I mean, the state didn't. A guy created it in I wish I could give him credit. I don't know who did it, but created it to make his job, I guess, easier. And now I'll go even further. We got the word out. We didn't get everyone that signed up for this, but I went to a meeting down at Commercial Township, and they were at the time talking about the state trooper barracks down there, and I just happened to go to the meeting. And in the meeting, I hope I'm mixing my meetings up here, but it was before that. It was just a regular commercial township meeting, and in there they were going to do a contract to buy the piece of equipment and hire an engineering firm to put it together. And I'm like, wait a minute, we can do that for you. Did you read the memos we sent around? We didn't know, Doug. So they were going to spend. They didn't know because this is what they have to do. It's like between $150,000, $170,000 to buy a piece of equipment. They had to man it, and then the engineer company. Not that they were doing anything wrong. It's just what the government always does. But I was like, wait a minute, we can do that for you. You don't have to spend that kind of money.
Right.
You'll have to pay.
It's more
us
efficient.
For the driver.
Right. Yeah.
But when he's on Commercial Township, and they were like, really, like. So by the end of the meeting, they didn't do that, which I appreciate. They didn't do it, and I hope it still worked because that was a few years ago. But when we did it. But I hope it's really just an afterthought now. We just do it. So that's the kind of stuff you learn. Okay, I didn't mean to get off the
that's
but I
fine.
wanted to kind of say that this is what you learn when you go to the committee meetings and township meetmes, and they do things, and you learn. Wait a minute, we can help, or we can do this, or we've come up with a shared service on. Video piping equipment that we have. If the truck's not doing our thing, it's sitting. So maybe it can help someone else save some money for them. Then it's worth every penny that and they lease it or at that time. But once they're done, it gets brought back. Their bill is done.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
easy.
All right, I didn't get off the bat.
That's fine. Let's try to tie some of that into the fact that you're up for re-election, and that's part of the reason why I'm here. So we talked like 3 months ago and we covered a lot of stuff, but anything could have happened between then and now, especially for people in the audience who might not pay attention all the time. Maybe we can talk about a couple of the things that just went through and, how you feel about them or how they developed and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So I was watching a video recently where there's the new cross development zoning map, I guess you call that thing, cross associated or whatever you call that, cross approach. Yeah, so from my understanding, there were a lot of areas before that the state viewed we shouldn't be developing on, but now with the new updated map, some of that has gotten cleared, which from my surface level understanding, we need a lot of economic development in the area.
The
right?
state, many times they make rules that prevent us from doing basic things, and I take me with a grain of salt because I'm an expert at everything with this, but they when I was with the county years ago, I actually worked for the county years ago at economic development, and there was the planning went through this then, and I have a skeptical point of view that they created like hubs or places where nooks that these communities could grow and developments is centered, and then it would grow out from there. Well, the state plans. Sorry, now I'm taking me with a grain of salt here,
Sure.
but the state plans things, and they a lot of times they don't even follow their own scenarios. I was in one of the meetings, and this is what bothers me because they can't plan. You can put concepts out there, but many of the DEP is probably the worst scenario, and I'm not a big fan of DEP, that they make rules that overlap, don't make sense, and they don't even their own plan. So it becomes a hammer, not a carrot, to do this stuff. Now our people are very happy about it. The one thing when I was in one of the meetings, I only went to one meeting. The state planning people said, well, this will all be tied to money. I said, keep your money. Let us do our thing and develop. You already kept this down long enough that we aren't allowed to grow in our own areas. I'll give you an example. The Morris River Township had areas where you could actually have sewers put in eventually. Mm-hmm. We've been planning sewer and water trying. It's not been successful at all, but there was money out there to do it, and I pushed for it. And when they went to their map, it was gone. So it just disappeared. Yeah, this is before this process, but why?
Yeah.
Why there's adjustments? So they would have to fight for that back. Service, they call it a certain name. Service, it'll come to be. Yeah. But it was gone. So they would have to turn around and fight for something that was already given to them because someone up somewhere changed it. So that's the kind of stuff. And when that happens, and when the state plan, they went right through it, and the people put their 2 cents in. I said, well, what happens if the local people object to that certain thing? They make a note of it.
Oh,
not
right.
changed. Mm-hmm. They make a note of it. Well, that's if you want people out there, right. Take me with a grain of salt because there are people that love this. I'm not one of the ones that love. Let us do what we do in our area. There are rules that we have to follow. I'll put words in someone's mouth, and I don't like doing that. But one of the things I asked our candidate, Jack Ciattarelli, that hopefully one day decides to come on the program, I have to ask, but he said that I asked him about the DEP, and this is years ago, this first run. And I asked him about the DEP, what do you think? And I expected a canned answer but instead he actually had an answer, and I was like, wow. He goes, it would make the DEP an aggressive, not a progressive, but they would react to a problem. If someone's dumping, I don't want no one dumping.
Right.
If someone's creating problems, they should be going after them. But they're not there to make rules and change things or at their whim what they decide. That people do all this stuff that's required for a project, but then all of a sudden you go, oh, the DEP has to decide. That's ridiculous. You know how much time slows down when it sits on a desk? Someone that really doesn't know the project. Well, he answered that. He said, I won't let that happen. So there will be rules made, and if they stay within those rules, that's it. That's the bottom line.
Right.
There's no interpretation or change. And
it's like overreach. Red tape kind of situation.
Red tape, just for the sake of red tape. Our county, there's a culvert
Oh, you know what? Let me just
sorry. I'm on
no. Because this is really interesting. Because the other day, when we were talking at Deerfield Day, we brought up this Jack Ciattarelli interview type idea or whatever.
I have to
but what I'm saying though is, this is the perfect example of a statewide figure talking about statewide issues, but how it directly applies to Cumberland County and why it's important to us. So, like, if you have a specific example where the DEP was...
I get tons of them.
Yeah, maybe just walk through one example and be like, if Jack Ciattarelli can help clear that problem for us.
I mean, how long's the culvert been down? It was 2 years before the Democrats are in charge. 2 years it fell in.
Yeah.
It's been how long before? It's still, we've put the money aside. We made the plans already. We have the company ready to go.
Yeah.
Still waiting. We have 7 permits to get for a culvert that fell down. Seven permits from the Coast Guard to the historic preservation, because there's an old railroad. One part of an old railroad still exists right there, and someone just forgot to take out, and we can't rebuild this road. Now, I have my opinion of this road, but we bypassed it when I was director. We bypassed it. Lucky I did, because that it's a key southern route to all the townships south of Bridgeton that depend on to go through the city of Bridgeton. We bypassed it, and I got the other side didn't like it, but they understand how important it was. But we bypassed the route, and everybody's functioning. But it would be nice to finish it, and we can't. And I've been told we got everything. Then he has to go to the next thing. This is a perfect example of the bureaucracy on a culvert probably as wide as probably at the most 20 feet wide. They can be engineered within a week probably to rebuild it, and been planned and can't get done because you have to get the check off of someone that's sitting on somebody's desk somewhere that has to take their good old time. I mean, really take it. When you have engineers that have a degree and experience and build it, design it, also just got to say, all right, there it is. And
maybe that's the exact kind of thing that if you were to talk it through with Jack, he would be like, oh yeah, that sounds like nonsense. I'll definitely help you clear up that situation.
It's a perfect example of what his say, that you would put the power in the the people that really do the work, and if there's a gross problem with it, it can be stopped or said, but literally all the rules that they set up are applied to. There might be variation, but it's a local flavor. Given input on what can be done, it would have been done. So I'm going to give you another example. I want to roll here. The bald eagle, which is plentiful, is very plentiful in Cumberland County. We did our job to raise. They're literally almost everywhere flying if you go down there, and we even have an eagle fest in this county. The county puts it on to demonstrate how many the eagles all over. The American bald eagle is here and flourishing. Now, the humans with the use of DDT that's what made it tough for the eagle to. Well, it's been banned for years now. Not that people were around. It's the use of an insecticide that hurt their eggs, and that's what happened.
Okay.
Well, we want to take over. We were planning. We're looking into taking over the old Comanche country. But I have a different opinion. But that we were looking at it to make another park, and there's an eagle's nest on that golf course. Well, the rule is I think 200 feet you can't do anything around. Well, they want 600 feet for a bird that's no longer on the
endangered species or whatever.
So they're making rules just for making rules, and so it's not going to get done. So it's not going to be used by this
because somebody didn't think it through with common sense.
Well, or made rules just because they made rules. That's not. They're not elected officials. Their job is not to make a rule. It's to apply the rules equally and fairly to develop. Now I'm on a roll. Sorry. Here's one of my things. People. And I'm running for take me with a grain of salt, but there's term limits people scream about. Well, know what happens when your elected officials can lose, can be voted out. You don't like them, you vote them out. And that's the power of the vote, that you're trying to highlight what people believe in, to vote, and vote them out.
Do your homework, and we'll figure it out at the voting booth.
It's not there. It's not. But I'm drawing a blank on something. But the bottom line is the
term limits.
Term limits. That what you do is that you empower the bureaucracy to there's always
I see what you mean.
Example is that one time I used to be a city council in Violent at one time, and in the city of Violent there was an engineer, and he taught me well. He was an engineer. He was staring. His desk was turned around. He's looking up the wall. He was in the trades at the time, and he had a long track on and with a train on top of the wall, and a short track with a train. I walked in. I love talking to him because I love people that really have a perspective that you can learn from. Yeah. And this guy goes, Doug. And he says, "You see that track up there? You're on the short track because you're only here for whatever period of time. See the long track? I'm on that track." So I must have been having a bad day, and it wasn't really pissed at me, but he was pointing it out because somebody was giving him bad. He says, "I just have to outlast you." So I say that to people that scream, if you're not happy, vote, and if you're not happy, vote them out. The problem is
just like at a business. If you had a bad employee, you'd fire them.
Or if the guy that business doesn't do a good job, you don't go back to him. So
but you don't just randomly replace people for no good reason.
That's right. So I mean, take me with a grain of salt, because I would like you to be. We have a lot more to do, but that's the kind of example that people say. I mean, think what you're saying. You're given a bureaucracy you have no control over. You cannot get rid of because of that. Then look who's running. If you don't like the candidates, you can run. You decide that you don't like them. You pick up and you can do it. It's pretty easy, right? You found it pretty easy to run. So, I mean, I just say that to you, that out there, that keep that in mind when you're what's the consequences of that action. So, and if you don't like the people running, get different people. So. Sorry, that's the perspective I always. Sorry, that Steve always asks questions to get me rolling.
That's fine. That's fine.
I wanted to.
I mean, I would wish we could be here for 3 hours doing it, and that way you could talk as much as you needed to.
Go ahead. He's telling me not talking too long. So
here's an idea of a different angle to help let you know where I come from. Sometimes when I come up with these questions, is there's that write-up for you on the CCRO website, and then sometimes I'll read a sentence and I'll think to a second, well, what does that really mean in practice?
It's like bullet ideas that you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
What's behind it? Okay.
Right.
So he was going to ask me these things. I said, all right, you got to remind me. So
you said on the site that you're really focused on improving literacy, and you did the big renovation over at the Cumberland County Library. So can you just unpack for me, like, what were the renovations and how are they helping to improve literacy?
They made a lot of people, libraries, they have a vision the libraries aren't used. Our public library does programs for over 365 days, and it sounds like, well, how can they do it? Well, because they do 2 or 3 programs for teens, for little ones, and adults. Constantly, they teach computer skills. If they're getting their GED, they have programs there. They do yoga at our library, so just to keep people healthy. So I mean, they really do different programs for different age groups to attract them to the library. So, and the idea is that they come to the library, they're learning they learn something. They pick up a book or pick up on one of the stories on audiobooks that they get from our library, and they're connected to everyone, so they really can get anything you want. Now, right now, we have the Jakes Park we're planning, and the Jakes Park is a handicap park. Kids that have disabilities could, all different disabilities, could go into a park and actually have a good time. Well, how's that tied to a library? Well, as soon as that was announced, they already had plans that we're going to put stories on the outside of the park, so while people are there, adults or kids, other kids, that they could actually see the story and so they could go into the library once the story's done to get another story. And I was like, man, that's a great idea.
That's pretty good.
So the library, now we also were tied to other libraries. We've been the Bridgeton Library needs.
So was that part of the renovation?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
It was for security.
I'm trying to differentiate what was already there and what was the improvement.
That's coming. The Jake's Park. It's right in front of the library. They're planted.
Oh, that's really good to know, though, because that helps spell it out. Like, what was the actual?
We got a grant to do it, and we've got to go through all the hoops. They got to check the ground, but it's in. Actually, I think we're starting. We might be starting in December or November to start building it. Be done by February or January. Be done to Jake's Park, and that the reason why we put it there is because we looked around. There's plenty of kids around that area that could go and use that, and hopefully you see people playing. Nothing like a park that's being used. I mean, the kids actually exercising or doing something is actually amazing. And let me go back into the library. We moved the kids section to the lower level so that there's less access to make it safer, that they can be by themselves or that their parents don't have to be on top of them. They can wander around, but they're in a protective area that's not people that can't get in without knowing.
Sure.
I think the kids have the teens have places where they actually music is something they could acquire a quiet room and programming to do stuff that they can meet other teens. Most of the time, people have no place to go. They always say that. Well, there's a place to go.
Right. So I mean that was a big problem growing up. I mean, maybe it was just typical teenagers and young people in their 20s.
They always say
there's nothing to do around here. But then if you actually start looking around,
there's a lot to do. I mean, it's really kind of fun. We're in a really good area to do that.
Yeah.
So that was another thing.
But even my mom, she goes to the Vineland Public Library to do the exercise class or whatever it is. And,
you know what I'm talking about, okay?
Right. So it is really good to see that people are using it and to know that people like you are improving it.
Well, I happen to be part of the liaison for the last 4.5 years. I've been liaison. Which has been nice because I was like, if you're going to build it, I remember walking and saying, if you're going to expand this library, I'm not into that. If you're going to improve, they go, no, we're going to improve. And they showed me, I'm like, oh, that's really good. Using what they have and just redesigning it to make it easier.
Right.
And they have you could check out a computer at the library. You can actually, the laptop, you can get out of the library, check it out. I'm like, this is good. And, it's actually, if you know, the county, all counties, most of their fiber optics is tied to the library, to the state. Right. So I don't know if people do that. That's how we get fiber optics to our county buildings to the library. So it's a grant that they get. We did have plans to build a satellite library because we wanted to expand, similar to Gloucester, a library system. We're lucky because we have Millville, Violet, and Bridgeton, but we wanted to, and little libraries in different townships. We wanted to expand that, so we actually planned not just a traditional library, but down in the Morris River Township, more of a tourist center where they would have restrooms and people could. There's a lack of resource facilities in certain areas. East Point Lighthouse, this place would be closed, so we planned that. Wasn't nothing major, big, but it didn't happen for various reasons, but we'll revisit when we can. But we really want to do that, and it would have been perfect. And actually, talk about literacy, by doing that, there's no libraries in the schools, and so you have 2 or 3 schools around there that has no libraries.
This is like the Morris
River Township and commercial, and by doing this, you actually, by putting library, your scores go way up because then people have access to it and they use it.
Right.
And they would do programming down there to be, as if you've been in any of these townships, their buildings, their government buildings, become kind of the community centers. The fire halls, it's amazing because the fire halls, their doors are open and it's all walks of life are using their fire halls and do whatever. It's encouraged. And it's really neat. Morris River Township, commercial township. It's part of the community. It's the heart of the community. And this library, I felt, would become like that. There would be the heart. They actually had.
It's not just a place with books. It's a community center.
Yeah, and actually, it's much more than just books. They actually wanted to make it the center. I've talked about this on the radio before. They wanted to make it a center of their anyone South 47 used to be where everybody drove. Now 347 is a bypass, but people would go there. They actually had some businesses buying property, anticipation that and redoing their property, which makes rateables for the that they saw it, they could see it. Now that unfortunately didn't happen. That's my job to push it even better.
So with that, you say you're going to try to push that again?
Yeah, we had
forward.
a grant for the state, saw what we did on our library. They were very intrigued. They actually gave us money. They took it back a year earlier. I've never seen a grant taken back a year earlier because they said you couldn't do it. We would have got it done. It just takes more.
Do you want to get into the reasons why it didn't?
Not really, but
okay.
I'm trying to be nice.
No, I get it. I just don't know.
Yeah,
I'm honestly asking.
But it's it's a good question. But it's the bottom line is they pulled the grant back.
Yeah.
The state did. We would have got it done. We had a lot of things. It took us a while to get through the environmental stuff.
I think that's really important to say too, because sometimes people say like, "Oh, well, how come you did get this done or that done or whatever?" You really want to get it done, right? You know what I mean? And it sounds like it would be something good for the community, but it's a little thing. Now that we're focusing on it for a minute, it's like, well, no, it's like these guys really are trying to push for good stuff, and sometimes there's just roadblocks.
I'll give you another example that sewer. It sounds a lot of people take it for granted. Maybe a lot of people in this radio program that take it for granted. Well, it isn't everywhere, and actually, many times these older communities are built right on, almost on top of each other. That sewer will relieve a lot of that pressure and allow those. We have a housing problem. Everyone has a housing issue. That by doing this, some don't want to build because of the state of New Jersey puts so much pressure on people. But they actually have houses that people walk away from because they can't get enough space to upgrade their septic system.
Oh, right.
So they don't develop it. They let it fall down. Or not fall down, but deteriorate.
Yeah.
And by bringing sewer to the center of your community, you don't have to bring it all over the place. The center of your community, you rehab what you have, and that gives more housing quicker because you're just rehabbing it. Listen, I've owned my house 30-some years or whatever, and we're still doing work.
Mm-hmm.
It's never done.
Yeah.
People say, "Oh, I'm going to get it done." Yeah, you never get it done. You're always doing something. So they would be doing the same thing. And these older communities have some beautiful houses that you just need some love and and there are people out there that would be willing to do that for a very reasonable. And that's where sewers come in, and the idea that. Well, I don't want to go all with that. People have heard me talk about sewer and water long enough with this, but go ahead. You got more questions with that?
Yeah, so a couple things that came up. I watched the interview with Commissioner Lodes and Jim Quinn recently, and she gave an update about what's going on with the county jail.
Yes.
About maybe you guys are going to do a joint project with Camden.
We're working on it. Actually, I could say more because actually it was in another radio station now. It's about Atlantic County being part of it. So we're there. We have this tremendous. You want to finish your thought? And I'll get off the.
Basically give an idea of the development of like why are we even talking about this right now?
No, actually, that's a real good
question.
just
as a primer for the audience.
Our jail, which holds about, I'll say, be safe, 150 people. Then we had over 400 inmates, so we needed. We actually could not have through. There's different sections are closed. We actually needed to put inmates over 300. It's less than that now. But nobody would take our inmates. Burlington, Gloucester, they all closed their jails, and they didn't have any room. Atlantic County, we had agreements with Atlantic County. We had agreements with Salem. Nobody would take our inmates, so Hudson County's where we ended up. We went to Ocean County and asked them to take it. Yeah. No, nothing.
Not actually happening yet.
So Hudson County took them, but with the rule, I'll say this: our people have to drive up there and can't pick up anyone until midnight. So our corrections officers are driving all night to pick up our people, our inmates, things don't always go smooth.
Yeah.
But they can't get there before midnight. You know what a pressure that puts on people?
Yeah, of course.
So, and plus the cost. Our cost is immense for overtime, the wear and tear, on our people. It's tough. And sometimes they would not meet the court. The court says you got to have the person there. Well, if they don't get them, they don't get the court on time. You don't get them out of our jail. And,
right.
The bottom line is that we've run into a lot of problems. Our judges are not very happy. So we actually, under my direction, we started with Salem County. Salem County, we negotiated. I thought it was a great deal. We would have done a joint with Salem County.
A joint jail.
A joint jail. It's their jail. We were partners. That was the key. I wanted no more shared service. We already had shared service. They didn't come through. It would have been a partnership. Gloucester, Salem asked Gloucester to join, so it was a 3, which is the vintage of our courts is Gloucester, Cumberland, Salem, which is perfect.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it went from a jail this big to a huge. I was not part of the discussion. I was not included in the discussion, but it kind of developed. And the bottom line is that they never took any of our inmates. They promised, never took, even though it wasn't built. They had beds, never took them. And I didn't think it was fair that it was described to me that a lot of the rules had changed, and we wanted a independent authority overseeing the jail, so they would collect their own taxes, they would have their own budget, we would have oversight, we have checks and balances, but we wanted it out of our hands because the lawsuits would have come through us. And they would be concentrated on it, so they'd hopefully be less lawsuits because they're concentrated on it. It's abide by rules.
Right.
We'll take the political crap out of it and just have them run a jail and do it right. And the rules changed, so it didn't work out. The Camden wants to build a huge complex. I say huge, a multi-county complex. They're decided the site up towards a core, and our backs are against the wall. They came to us many times, did many studies, and we just didn't feel right. They actually, to one point, asked us, "Do you want to put it in Cumberland County?" I said, "No, we don't want to put it in Cumberland County. We already have enough jails in Cumberland County."
Right.
So they decided on that location. It may or may not be built. They're key that they can be built, and we are a partner. If we become we are a partner with them. We will be in the decision making, all the decisions being made. We would get a vote. But here's the short run. Short run is we get all our inmates could go moved over time to Camden and save us a lot of money. And when I say money, I'm talking about travel, overtime, and there's no midnight requirement. They could go any time to pick up somebody because there are guys we need to do it. They would help us if we were stuck, which is another problem. Sometimes we're stuck. Yeah, we're sometimes low in officers, not all the time. We're getting better. They would take all our officers. They would take everybody. They need them. So that was key. But until that time comes that they actually build it, we will. Now it's being discussed now. So I'm giving you bits and pieces. Yeah. But they're going to be ironed out a lot of stuff. The short term, we need it. The medium term, we're going to have our jail open for a while. It has to be open. And in the long term, there'll be a jail that our people, I don't know what the rules are, but Atlantic County's been asked and they're pondering now. I don't know. I'm sure they approached everybody, Mercer County, Gloucester, to be part of this. We're actually going to be probably the first one to commit if we do it, if everything, and shortly because we have to. Atlantic County's pondered now, so they may be the second, right, or third, because Camden is the first. And the idea is by pulling this together, hopefully, your costs are shared to actually lower overall cost because you're not duplicating things. You buy a lot of that piece of paper, or you buy your corrections officer. You can cover more area because you have more officers that can handle stuff. Simple things that you need a lot of, you can buy it cheaper if you know you're going to buy it all the time.
Absolutely.
So What is the short run and
efficient,
long run?
yeah, hopefully effective.
Hopefully efficient.
And then I guess the overall question there would be, like, are you generally happy with that direction?
I feel more comfortable the way I've been told. I'm not in the negotiations. I've been feeling more comfortable because I feel it's one of the most viable options we have now.
Sure.
And as long as they take care of our people, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from the average voter's perspective, it's the county jail has been a long-standing problem. You're trying to handle it the best you can, and this seems like the most viable option on the table, which is cool.
Sorry.
To go through some, I guess, ancillary questions with that, how does that tie into where we're at with the infamous concrete slab and the already bonded money?
Well, the money's been bonded years ago, and
sure.
we're making interest on it right now, so I guess it's okay, but we spent money to look at the Salem jail. We had to spend money to do, which again I was told later that we're spending money. Well, two I guess votes that to spend money to do the plans and design of this new, but that's not going to pan out. But we've been making interest. It was $65 million originally. We were going to build it. We were not part of the decision. It was a 7-0 other board. And out of the blue, and I was on the board at the time, all of a sudden they decided that they were going to cut all the support. They would just cut it while it was being built. No explanation. It was just a independent decision. It wasn't even voted on at the time, which I was like, wait, how do you do that without a vote?
Right.
And they did a vote 7 or 8 months later. So it's a concrete pad that cannot support a way to jail, but can it support other things? Well,
and that's what I heard, right? You're going to use it for something else?
Well, right now, because we always look at how to be more efficient. We've been looking at that. We have buildings all over this county spread out. Our people are all over. It's tough
like
to manage
joint office building kind of thing.
The idea is to maybe pull it together, build one facility. There are people under one roof, so you can manage better.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It's tough to manage people you don't see.
Yeah.
And to make it more efficient, but also save money. You say, how can you save money by building it? Well, they already have a bond. And we save money so that we're not paying leases for places that we can't afford. We're not paying. You're fixing all kinds of different buildings, fixing roofs and electric, and those costs go away if you get rid of those buildings. You have one building. You concentrate on one building, keeping that building
basic
healthy.
Efficiency.
And you can. There's many things you can do about that. So that's been talked about. So we're using that property to do that. There's already sewer, water, utilities
and
there.
That's good for me because as somebody who's just been following along, someone might get the false impression that all that money is just going to go to waste. Well, no, you're just gonna handle how it gets used in a different way.
Yeah, actually, to me, I don't know how you. Well, originally the bond, I could. Looking at it, it's like wow, but now yes, it's been making interest. We'll use the money to build something that we need. It's definitely needed. Many of our people have outgrown buildings that they're in. We've outgrown buildings where we're at. The administration building's been outgrown. There's just this is what always says that there's only one bathroom on one side of the building. We have employees all the way the other side, but I'm not there all the time, but that's that's what they say. So. I know that's true. So, but it's like, wow. Well, and there's no real public bathroom per se. People, if you have a meeting or whatever, they have to wander through the building to get to it. It's just in the building. I don't understand why we used to have a complex on 49. They moved us to this. I never understood that, and they sold it to a charter school. Why? It was a campus made up for the county. It was sold to them. I still don't know to this day. I wasn't there when it happened, but it's like we could have really used that. And actually, this building we're talking about, the concrete pad, is actually backside of that. So we could have a real nice campus at the time. But pulling things together, it's better to manage people and make you more efficient.
Right.
People can talk to someone. They're not...
You're not waiting
7, 8, 10, 12 miles away.
Right, waiting on a Slack channel message that never gets answered.
So it is being discussed. We haven't really gone too much further, but
no,
as soon as we solve the jail problem. I think we'll turn to that to do it. So these are the things we've been making decisions on: parks, recreation, the mini parks that we have that we've been doing that are being used, which is the best thing. The better use of the Board of Ed, our old buildings, we actually renovated our buildings to be used. We've renovated the jail. We spent a lot of money. The jail we have, it sounds like you're going to wait. No, it never goes to waste because there's an alternative idea.
Well, that's just how people try to make it sound sometimes.
Yeah, but we're invested. We put a HVAC system, and I'm like, wow, we're spending money. They go, no, Doug, it's movable. We can actually take it off and move it to a I'm like, oh, that's great. Right. So it's needed, and we do it. And we've been fixing. I always yell because the door didn't lock for years. I mean, I go. So I'm like, can we fix the door? I'm being nice. Can we fix the door? And they would fix it. The elevator system. We fix things when they break. There was many areas of the jail that were tough to work clean. We've cleaned them. I'm not saying it's the nicest place in the world, but it's a lot nicer than it used to be for our people who work there every day.
So you're making those kinds of improvements. I think we should go on.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Steve asked these questions. I said I would answer. That's why we're doing this. My name is Doug Albrecht. I'm sorry, the number is 856-696-0092. We're down to the last 5 minutes. Yeah. Steve Task will entertain any questions you have.
Let's try in a similar vein the Middle Mile Broadband, which Tory and former Mayor Quinn touched on. So the update is you guys have taken this project to put infrastructure broadband around the county to help improve broadband.
It was a fiber optic network plan to go run around the county. It came to light during the COVID, highlighted during COVID that people couldn't get good communication to areas. The Middle Mile is like the highway, and you would do streets off that highway. Government does streets, highways, builds roads. We do that. We're good at it. Sewer, we're good at it. The Middle Mile would start that and would run. Now the problem is, I was a big supporter of it. I could see it. It would bring a nice financial gain. This is what I believe. So take me with a grain of salt to the county as people would lease these lines. You say, Comcast. I'm not beating them up, but Verizon, the big company, don't do it. Well, they haven't done it in 40 years.
Right.
I mean, they've done areas but some of them said, well, it's not profitable for us to do it. That we would take that to the next step. And now with these data centers coming in, it's needed even more in our area. If you want to use our area where they're open land, our people, these data centers, and power needs power. Yeah. This is an ample opportunity to do it, and they are looking at our area. So real quick, the Middle Mile was not being pursued by my colleagues. They weren't big in favor of it. It got. But Salem County was our partner. They really wanted to get it done. They were actually going around doing everything, anticipating the Middle Mile would be there. They said they want to take and run when they've gotten one. Salem County got over $20 million in BEAD money, which is the local road. I'll say the local road off of the Middle Mile. So we weren't applying. So
one of the questions I had about it was there was this framing of. What was our original commitment to it? $6 million?
Well, $6 million, but we had in kind, so it was $10 million, but $6 million was in kind. It came to about $3.2 million. We would have.
Oh, okay. But then it's.
No, I want to say this. Okay, if we would have pursued it, because they didn't believe the number, our in kind, which was our towers that we did for the 700 system. Well, when they redid the study, we undervalued. We could have got all that dedicated. We would have had to contribute anything. But that's another story. So they did underestimate our value.
I guess the question then becomes we only spent like $332K.
Yeah, we didn't do that because they didn't pursue it. So, but
okay. But if we had, would the costs have gone?
No, it would have been $3.2 million. One of our other commissioners swears that this would be $80 million. No, I've said this over and over again when we're doing it. We have this amount of money to spend, and when I would tell our builder or contractor, when that money ends, you better have a place you're ending where can reach something that can be used.
Right.
That's all you say.
What your original commitment
yeah,
was.
and actually, I'll say this again. I said that point about the 700 system that we use in our towers, that would actually be they keep anticipating more. No, it would be actually less money because people would we can lease as we go, and it would actually the construction cost. He overestimated. The guy that gave the original money overestimated how much it would cost.
Yeah.
It would actually be lower, and so I always believe that firmly. We're running out of time,
Yeah.
but we had to we transferred to Salem County. They're going to run with it. It's I said to myself, I'm very disappointed because I thought we would be really a big thing for Cumberland County. Would actually give us revenue to do stuff that we couldn't do. We're running. All right,
Yeah.
Steve. Thanks. I really appreciate you.
Thank you
and
for
I'll
having
talk to you.
me.
Sorry we didn't get to everything.
No,
We've been on time,
that's all we can do, right? We got an hour. That's what you
Take
got.
care. Thank you. Thanks for listening. So take care. Bye bye.